Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking to you about the rest of the week that was in Bro Wrestling. So that includes TNA Impact Wrestling and AEW Grand Slam from Australia, which I'll tell you what, a couple of really insane shows. So let's get it started with TNA Impact Wrestling, where we start off with a recap of the big things that happened last week. Then we start with a Moose promo. He gets to the ring and it says, "Everyone wants to know what's going on. I'm not coming out complaining about the 4-man take that took me out. I called myself the face of the franchise because I've been through it all. 2 years ago, at Hard to Kill, I created the system. And now I know what to do. I have to do to dismantle it. One man has the blueprint, and you know who you are. Come on out." This brings out World Heavyweight Champion Mike Santana. Gets to the ring. They both kind of side-eye each other for a second because, you know, Moose and Santana have been feuding, with Moose being part of the system. Santana says, "Look who it is. I heard you in the back. You're absolutely right. We made each other's lives a living hell. But no better man I'd stand with to take out the system." So Moose continues saying, "Now we just need 2 living legends to take out the system once and for all." So Moose and Mike Santana are waiting for the Hardys. We'll get to that a little bit later. But now the suit, whatever that means. Daria Ray, the former Sonya Deville, comes out and says, "I don't know what you two are doing, but it's done here. The match itself is happening, but you're going to have to wait until the main event. This little powwow here wasn't in the plans, so get the heck out of my ring." And that's how this segment ends. I kind of understand what Moose and Mike Santana were trying to do. They were trying to goad the system out into a brawl, which I'm always for. But then, I don't know. I kind of enjoy the Daria Ray GM, whatever she is, because she is acting the opposite of Santino Marella, who would just let these things go. I understand the parallels. I don't love it. Plus, we could probably just get the system versus Moose, Santana, and the Hardys in a brawl in the back somewhere. I don't know. This segment fell kind of flat for me. But we continue on with an interview for Ryan Nemeth, who's in the back. He's got the weird bands he's working out with. And he says, "You're asking me about my street fight tonight. That woman super kicked me 1,000 times over. So now I'm going to use every weapon I can find in front of everyone she cares about. And in the end, everyone would be chanting, 'Let's go, Hunk.'" So, yeah, Ryan Nemeth. We'll see what happens with that matchup. So we go to an ad, come back, we see Moose. He's in the back somewhere, sitting, kind of contemplating. Then Alicia Edwards walks in, sits down right down next to Moose and says, "Look, I'm sorry. I got a lot on my plate. My contract's coming up and I don't know if I want to stay. Might be time for me to go." So Moose kind of turns to her, gives her a look, says, I completely understand. You were a big part of the system. And while we're at odds, you will always be my sister. So they share a high five, I think, at least. I don't think they hug. Which, that was definitely a nice little moment for character moment for Moose and Alicia, who, spoiler, we'll be seeing a little later. But our first matchup of the evening, it took that long to get out to our first match. We got Nick Nemeth, Ryan's older brother, aka Dolph Ziggler, taking on Rich Swann. This was a heck of an opening matchup. This was so dang good. A lot of really good back and forth. Especially kind of near the end, Rich Swann going for a Phoenix Splash. He misses, immediately eats a DDT for a 2 count. Then Nick goes for a rear naked chokehold, which don't see Nick Nemeth breaking up with the submissions. So that's a nice little I like it when superstars add to their move pool. During that, Rich Swann fights it out, hits an awesome Death Valley driver, attempts the cutter, gets caught, with Nemeth hitting the danger zone to pick up the win. And honestly, I cannot recommend that match enough. I'm not going to say it's my match of the week, but it was a pretty dang good match, and I think you should check it out. So next up, we got a little backstage promo from India Hartwell and Xia Brookside, where they hype up Legion Lee's matchup at No Surrender against Ariana Grace. But then, what are we going to do with the pay-per-view? Well, you did pin one half of the tag team champions, so we got our stake in that. So at No Surrender, it's going to be Xia Brookside and Indy Hartwell taking on the Elegance brand, in which, spoiler alert, they lost that. But nice little promo from a very interesting duo. I'll say that. So then we get a promo from The Righteous, who, honestly, the all-white gear looks great. With Vincent saying, at No Surrender, the stars finally align. The Righteous stands with the Hardys, and men giving everything to the business as we face Order 4. They take and use, and Discord, we're going to take them to the next level. So then this is Dutch interjecting, saying, we are honored to stand with you, Hardys. You dig what I'm saying? Which, this is going to be an interesting matchup, in which the Righteous and the Hardys do win. So then we get to the ring for an Eric Young promo, which, don't get many of these this often. Gets the ring, says, BDE, last week, I gave you the gift of time. The place is full of nothing but puppets. I'll be reminded with the truth. BDE, time's up. So BDE, who is a YouTuber, comes out, says, with Eli saying, they like you, man. You got a real connection here. So BDE grabs the microphone and says, man, I don't understand you. What I really understand is it's a real opportunity to be here. Eric Young grabs the microphone away, says, I understand real opportunity to be the hero, You're willing to do anything to do the unthinkable. We need you, your popularity, your reach. What's it going to be? With villains or people who know the truth? So Eli hands over the microphone to BDE and says, I thought about it. I see the flaws in your plan. Am I right? So Eli grabs it right back saying, is it a yes or a no? BDE grabs it back, says, I didn't get this opportunity to let someone else tell my truth. I don't need you, so it's a hell no. BDE goes to leave, then Eric Young just snaps and attacks BDE from behind. Gets him up in position, ready for a pile driver. Some refs come out. It looks like they're about to stop him. Then Eric Young just hits a pile driver on BDE. The referees get Eli out of the ring. He breaks off from them, goes back in the ring, hits another pile driver on BDE. This brings out security. Security gets Eli out of the ring. Eli then hits a pile driver on one of the security guards on the outside. So, here's what I was kind of hoping for from this segment. Obviously, we're getting Eli cult leader again, which is totally fine. It worked with Violence No More? Violence is Forever. That's what the group's name is. And I feel like a return to that would have been really good. Now, I'm not saying BDE has to be in the group, but I feel like we missed an opportunity to maybe reunite some people. Like, you got Big Damo and I forget his partner's name from Sanity in WWE. But I feel like bringing those two in would really give Eli a little help, you know? Plus, Big Damo has been on TNA TV, I don't want to say really recently, but like within the last year or so, taking on EY. So I just feel like it's a missed opportunity. Although maybe they got something coming. We then get an Ash by Elegance immersed teaser, which goes through her injury and return. So that should be a fun watch. Then we got Eli pushing around security in the back. Santino walks in, gets right into Eli's face and says, "What is going on with you? I don't understand what's going on. For what you did out there, you're suspended." Then Daria Ray comes in. He says, "No, he's not suspended. In fact, he has a match at No Surrender against BDE, which I believe EY loses, if I remember correctly." So then, I forget what Santino says, but he says something like a little under his breath. Then Ray turns around and says, "What was that?" And Santino's like, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it." So, seeing Santino kind of lose control a little bit, along with Daria gaining more control, it's kind of an interesting little power struggle thing they got going on. However, I don't love that we got two authority figures now. And I really don't know where this is going to lead. Speaking of not knowing where this is going to lead, we now get an Albuquerque street fight, in which it's just a street fight with the Albuquerque name in front of it, between Ryan Nemeth, Nick Nemeth's little brother, and Maria Sade. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that name. I'm sorry. And they just immediately go into the crowd. They brawl. They get trash cans, cookie sheets. And yeah, this was just basically a big old plunder match. And I'm all for it. And actually, Ryan Nemeth comes out with a very interesting shirt on. It says, it's a bright yellow one. And it has the words, Women's Wrestling World Champion. Now, if you don't know, there was an act back in the day, an actor. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now. I should have written that down. Who wasn't really a real wrestler, but he got involved in some territory stuff with women, and he would always have that shirt on. So it's a nice little nod to the past. Oh, and here's an interesting little spot. Sade goes under the ring, grabs a little black bag. Now, of course, everyone thinking, oh, that's thumbtacks. This is the Abyss spot. Instead, she dumps it out in the ring, and it's little lollipops. It's like blow pops, if you've ever seen those. It is the weirdest blunder I've ever seen. She tries a couple times to get Ryan into it, eventually hitting a suplex into him, in which I heard a couple of them break. That was honestly kind of nuts. Then she hits a Sandman level leg sweep with the kendo stick. That was awesome. Then Ryan Nemeth gets out of it, locks in a kind of crossface with the kendo stick in front. Eventually Sade gets out of it. Ryan then goes up to the top rope, attempting to do God knows what. Sade knocks him off the top rope, hits a super kick for the win, and then post-match, Sade rips that yellow shirt off of him. Although not Hulk Hogan style, it was like top down. It was definitely really satisfying. I am not sure what the direction Sade is going to be in. I do hope maybe she gets a shot at the Knockouts title, because she's a little newish to me, at least. I'd like to see her go for gold at least once. So next we get a little TNA injury report, which I really like these segments. It adds a bit of realism to the show. Then we get another JDC, that aka Fandango immersed teaser, which I think that's out. And then we go to this wild promo with Mance Warner and I forget his wife's name. I'm sorry. I know, I'm blanking. And they kind of trade lines a little bit, saying, with Manser starting, we're going to find out who, the world is going to find out who we are. Then the wife says, you want to fight with a beast? We're in TNA as a family, and family doesn't pay, violence does. Then Manser finishes up with a, we're gonna find out why they call me the Southern Psycho. Which, I love Mance Warner. I'm glad he's on TNA. He needs a proper feud somewhere. And I'm not sure where he would get that, but he needs something. Then we get a little hype video for the Mustafa Ali Elijah guitar casket match we're getting this week, which I thought that was going to be on No Surrender. Apparently it's not. That's going to be on regular TV. So stay tuned for that. Then we get a nice little card rundown for No Surrender. Then we cut to the back where Santino is looking at his phone, or maybe he's just ending a call or something. And then his daughter, Ariana Grace, comes in and says, "You got me the match. I'm so excited. Thank you, thank you." She then hugs him. He kind of hugs her back, but he gives like a little eye roll. Then we cut to Santino's pants pocket, where Ariana goes down, grabs out the Cobra. In which, yes, that is how Ariana Grace wins the Knockouts title, which I know a lot of people are pissed off about. I'm not a big fan of it either. But if she's going to do it via cheating, I'm kind of okay with it. Plus, if she's just going to be a bridge champion for like a Danny Luna or someone like that, I'm fine with it. And fine a la Mo, we get our main event, which is a nice little 8-man tag team match. As we got the System, so that's Brian Myers, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins, Eddie Edwards, who I am so surprised is still here, Bear Bronson, a new addition to the System, and Cedric Alexander. And yes, it's that Cedric Alexander. As they take on Moose, Mike Santana, and both members of the Hardy Boys. And this matchup starts off with Moose starting in the ring with Myers. Then Myers and the System bail to the floor. Moose tags in Mike Santana. The System get back in. They go blow for a while. Everyone tagging in and out, getting their, stuff in. Near the end of the match, Brian Myers gets one half of the tag titles. Looks like he's about to use it. Then Alicia Edwards, who joined Moose on the floor, grabs it away from him. Moose with a big old boot. Everyone else with some big dives. Hardy is with a twist of fate. Jeff with a swanton attempt. But Cedric Alexander pushes Jeff Hardy off the top rope. Bear Bronson, who's the legal man, gets like a Rikishi driver into a pile driver, which looked really a little awkward, but I do understand what's going on, for the System to pick up the win. And what makes this interesting now is that the System now have a tag win over the tag team champions. So, more than likely, we're going to see that down the line, and I am absolutely for it. Personally, I think I'd go, no, Eddie has the world title shot. So maybe we do Cedric and Bear Bronson? I think that could be a good tag team. Either way, a very entertaining episode of TNA Impact. If you got a few minutes, go watch. I'd say go watch the opening contest, the main event, and if you're feeling a little goofy wrestling, go watch the street fight. So that'll do it for TNA Impact. We now go to AEW Grand Slam from Australia, in which this is their second show. They're doing this in Australia, which, and honestly, they treated this show like a pay-per-view. This was awesome. And the crowd absolutely ruled. And we'll get to that chant a little later. But first, we got the AEW Continental title on the line. is we got Jon Moxley defending against Konosuke Takeshita. And oh my god, these two threw freaking haymakers at each other from the start. Really awesome back and forth with them trading blows. Eventually, Takeshita gets the power drive knee, but as he's getting ready to pin, he gets a 2 count. He's getting up, he's getting ready for the Raging Fire. Ding, 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 ding. The bell rings. We've hit a time limit draw. So that's a little disappointing. Moxley then goes to talk to the referee. I guess he wanted some 5 minutes, which I thought this match was going to do that, but it doesn't. Then Mox has a little face-off with Takeshita. They push each other for a little bit. Then Takeshita with a Raging Fire on Moxley. Yeah, this feud isn't done. I could see it going to Revolution, where maybe that's where Takeshita finally wins. But yeah, that was definitely a fun opening contest. I do wish we had a definitive winner, but I do understand why we got the time limit draw. So then we get some highlights from Thekla versus Chris Statlander, including some of the best mic work from Statlander. Well, it was highlights plus a promo, which I didn't really keep up on the promo. I'm sorry. But yeah, this feud isn't done either, which I am all for. And next, we get the AEW Women's Tag Team titles on the line as Mega Bad, which is a great name. That's Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne taking on the Babes of Wrath, which are Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale. So this match felt, I'm not going to say rushed, because they definitely weren't rushed, but this match felt like it didn't really get out of first gear. Like, it's almost like they were stuck a little bit. Definitely some nice back and forth spots. Eventually, with Harley Cameron rolling up Megan Bayne for the win. But then here's something interesting post-match as we get Lena Cross, who I have never seen wrestle before. She attacks the Babes of Wrath post-match. She has a little face-off with Megan Bayne, but then they pose together with the tag titles. So it does look like Megan Bayne has a new tag team partner, and she's bigger than her, which is crazy to think about. Because Megan Bayne is not a small woman. So then we get a highlight reel / promo from Ricochet versus Jack Perry, with Ricochet pretty much saying he's done with Jack, he's ready to move on. We get another little all-in hype video, which is always fun. And then we get a Hangman Adam Page Andrade El Idolo hype video, along with like a promo from Andrade / Don Callis from last week, hyping up Andrade a bit. Then we go right into the match as we get Andrade El Idolo taking on Hangman Adam Page to see who faces either MJF or Brody King at Revolution. And yeah, this match was absolutely fantastic. Really, really awesome back and forth. With Andrade near kind of the end, blocking the buckshot lariat, hitting his spinning elbow, hitting the message for a 2 count. He goes for a DDT. Hangman rolls him up for 2. Hangman then hits the Deadeye. This brings Don Callis up on the apron, who distracts the referee. Hangman goes for a buckshot, miss. Andrade goes for a low blow. Hangman kind of tanks it. Hangman with his own low blow, hitting the buckshot lariat for the win. So, if I can complain about one thing, the match itself was really good. I would have liked to see AEW get behind Andrade a little bit more, because he is a fantastic wrestler, and I feel like he doesn't get that many shots at like being at the top. So maybe one day we'll get to see the full Andrade push. I would like to hope so. Next up, this match was a little crazy. It's a mixed tornado tag team match where the person who gets pinned gets their head shaved. So our participants, we got Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir of the Death Riders taking on Orange Cassidy and Timeless Toni Storm. And as the Death Riders were making their entrance, Cassidy and Tony jump them during their entrance. They brawl into the crowd. We get a little picture-in-picture thing going on. Eventually, it did look like the Death Riders took out Toni Storm as Luther carries her to the back after a pile driver on some equipment boxes by Yuta. So then the Death Riders get Orange Cassidy back to ringside. And they just completely beat down Orange Cassidy. We go to a commercial break. Eventually we do get Toni Storm coming out as Marina Shafir is dancing with the lifeless body of Cassidy. Which, yeah, that was an interesting spot. Toni with some clotheslines to Shafir. Then she sees Cassidy. Cassidy just kind of faints in her arms, which, that's hilarious. And then Cassidy and Toni Storm start dancing, meanwhile hitting like back fists on their opponent when they kind of... I'm not sure what the term is, because I don't dance. Eventually we do go back to the back and forth a little bit. Yuta's all set up for the Buzzsaku knee, but he accidentally hits Marina Shafir. Tony with a hip attack, Cassidy with the orange punch, and then Tony finishes off Yuta with the Storm Zero and the win. Which now that means Yuta's getting his head shaved. And at that point, we see Mina Shirakawa coming out with a little, not even office chair. It looks like one of those metal chairs you sit in during class in college. Then Luther, who's ringside, who's dressed all in his like barbershop quartet look, brings in like a whole haircutting kit, including with the combs with the blue liquid. So that's definitely a sight. Yuta sees all this, bails out of the ring, attempts to go back through the crowd. But as he's attempting that, Moxley comes from behind him, puts his hand on his shoulder, and pretty much says to him, "You gotta honor this." So Mox guides Yuta back into the ring. He gets in himself. Yuta sits down in the hair cutting chair. Then Mina, with a pair of scissors, just starts cutting the sideburns, which honestly, that looked like it hurt a little. So then Mina gives the scissors to Tony, who starts cutting the other side. And then we see Orange Cassidy with the clippers. I kind of wish there was a sound effect there, because I think that could have gotten a bigger pop. And he starts shaving Wheeler Yuta's head. And then he hands it off to Luther, in which Yuta sees that. He's like, no, he's not a part of this. He's not a part of this. So then Moxley, who's like in the corner of the ring, says like, step up, don't be afraid. So then Luther starts shaving him. Then he gives it to Mina, to Tony, to kind of finish him off, where he kind of, well, he looks like me. So, yeah, that was definitely an interesting segment. After that, Yuta gets up. Moxley grabs him by like the scruff of his neck and leads him out of the ring and out of the arena. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure where this is going to go. Maybe Yuta gets excommunicated from the Death Riders. I am really, really not sure. But that was definitely a fun little matchup with a stipulation I haven't seen in a while. Little hair versus hair stipulation. Next, we get a Swerve Kenny Omega hype video, in which that's happening next week, which gotta think they're gonna have a screwy finish for that. Like, that's just me. I think they have a match at Revolution. So, anyway, post that. Next up, we got the TNT title on the line in a ladder match, as we got Mark Briscoe taking on champion Kyle Fletcher. And this was kind of rough to watch, because every bump, every move into a ladder. At one point, we see Fletcher lawn dart Mark Briscoe not into like the side of the ladder, but the ladder facing him. That made me just shake my head a little. Eventually, at certain points, they both go up to try to retrieve the title, but eventually everyone blocks it. Then Fletcher, with a big old power bomb to, that same ladder he lawn darted Mark Briscoe into, just breaking it in half. Fletcher then goes up. Mark Briscoe stops in his tracks. Then Fletcher sets up another ladder in the ropes. Goes for a suplex. Briscoe blocks it. Fletcher with an eye rake. Briscoe going for a J Driller. That gets blocked. He does hit it. He hits the J Driller through the ladder. Briscoe goes up, but Fletcher is just enough to get him. On opposite sides of the ladder, they brawl for a bit. Fletcher falls down. But while Mark Briscoe is struggling to get the title, Fletcher gets back up. Hits a brainbuster from the top of the ladder, which, if you need me to hear that again, he hit a brainbuster on Mark Briscoe off of a ladder. which that was absolutely insane. Fletcher goes up again. Briscoe brings in a separate ladder, goes up that ladder. They start fighting again. Then Fletcher just pushes Mark Briscoe's ladder over. Bit of a bump. Fletcher then unhooks the TNT title for the win. And I'm going to say this. I may get a little bit of hate. But this match was overall fine. Which, nothing wrong with fine. I feel like the finish was messed up a little bit. Like, I feel like Briscoe bringing in that ladder was more his own decision than part of the plan. So I think Fletcher might have had to improvise a little bit. But overall, yeah, if you got a couple minutes, go and watch this. And then we get to our main event of the evening. And oh boy, this has been a much anticipated one for the AEW World title. So we got Brody King challenging MJF. And before Brody and MJF can lock up at the bell, MJF bails out, gets back in the ring. He walks into the crowd, stands on one of their chairs while they boo him. He gets back in the ring. There's a brief but loud ice chant, which, Australia, you passed the assignment. Well done. And then we just kind of go at it. However, instead of being fully offensive, MJF is kind of playing a bit more defense. Like, anytime Brody would go for a big move, he would either move or he would avoid it. He would avoid it at tons of costs. And he kept targeting Brody's leg, which is definitely a way to go. Because at one point we get Brody trying to hit a powerbomb, but his legs buckle. MJF then with a nasty chop block to the back of the leg. And then he sets up for something I did not need to see again. It is the kangaroo kick. Now, if you don't know, back when MJF and Adam Cole were friendly in Australia, MJF added a move to his move pool, the kangaroo kick, in which he does the hand motions for a kangaroo, which is this apparently, and then hits a massive drop kick, running drop kick. Which, yeah, I did not need to see that again. After a roll-up attempt that gets blocked, Brody attempts a senton, which misses. And then MJF locking in an ankle lock. But Brody gets to the ropes. Brody then starts completely overpowering MJF. Again goes for the cannonball, but MJF moves. Brody attempts the hanging sleeper, which is when he does the sleeper hold off of the edge of the apron, which is always impressive. MJF gets out of it by biting Brody's arm. Brody eventually bites him back. Brody does hit the cannonball eventually, gets a 2 count, then attempts the Gonzo bomb. MJF scurries onto Brody's back, locks in a deep sleeper hold. Brody starts to fade. He gets down to one knee on the mat. Then out comes someone we haven't seen or heard from in a while. It's Bandito, Brody's tag team partner. So then the ref does the 3-arm thing. On the third one, Brody's arm stays up, which got a hell of a reaction. Brody then powers out. MJF rolls to the outside, hits a deep, nasty-looking DDT on Brody on the apron. Gets him back in. MJF gets back in. Bandito then checks on Brody. MJF attempts a dive, but that gets caught by Brody King, who then hit a rolling senton into the barricade, which that was gnarly looking. Brody gets MJF back in. While MJF is in the corner, he puts on his Dynamite, Bandito's Dynamite Diamond ring. He goes for the KO punch, but the ref grabs his hand, takes off the ring, and throws it to the outside. Brody with a nasty looking elbow locks MJF in the hanging sleeper, and then just lets go of him as MJF falls through to the ground. Brody then gets MJF back in, hits the Gonzo bomb for a very close 2 count. MJF with a toe hold. Then he pulls off the knee pad, then he pulls off Brody's knee pad and knee brace. MJF with an eye rake, a bite. But then Brody hits a couple elbows, goes for the Gonzo bomb again, but that gets blocked. Brody again attempts the hanging sleeper. MJF breaks out. Hits a pile driver on the apron. And then a heat seeker for MJF to pick up the win. So no submission win for MJF. However, I do like he's using the heat seeker as more of an alternate finisher, which is always nice. MJF celebrating. Bandito's in the ring cheering on Brody. Before MJF could make a move, Hangman Adam Page comes out, and he has a contract for their match at Revolution. Hangman signs it first. MJF, I think, signs it. I don't think he did. Then he gets right into MJF's face. They start jaw-jacking. Hangman goes to hit MJF. MJF drops down and is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Big guy, come on. No. And then Hangman just leaves. Which is a little disappointing that is the final shot of the show. The match itself was really, really good. I'd say it's another recommended. But the ending segment, I don't know. There was something about that left a little bit to be desired. Like, I feel like MJF could have maybe taken a cheap shot attempt at Hangman. I don't know. It felt like there was something missing from that segment. Overall, very entertaining special from AEW. I am always happy when they do stuff like this. Hopefully we got more in our future. So we finish off Dynamite with a Dynamite card rundown, including Swerve versus Omega this week. I'm hyped for that. Hope you guys are too. And that'll do it for me. Please like the video, share this video all over where you can. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.